Hey guys, Centurion here at ESO Vault. I'm here in Apocrypha looking for a book for Laramil, and if Laramil needs it, it must be important. Or she just wanted to get rid of us, hoping for the former. Azander is riding shotgun on this one. Strange, but absolutely brilliant.
Collaborator? Confrere? Companion?
So far, I'd rate our progress as somewhere between futility and utter defeat. As far as libraries go, this gets a 1 out of 10. Books everywhere, no discernible organization, no filing system. Azander says he understands it. I was looking for confirmation that he's crazy. I'm pretty sure that's enough. The library staff here is useless. 0 out of 10. Openly hostile, potentially deadly. The library smells like wet cardboard and feels like despair. But hey, I hope all that doesn't discourage you from coming along with us. We need all the help we can get. FYI, judging by how it's going so far, there may be more fighting than library work. At least that'll give me a chance to try out my new Sorcerer Subclassing build, Lightning Reforged. That was the Prime Cataloger. His difficulty is set to punishment. Fortunately, some other adventurers came along. I've only got a few bruises and a little cranial fluid leakage. No book though, but still, I'm calling that a win. Azander looked like he was dead for a minute there, but I guess Arcade doesn't want him just yet. Before we go any further, I want to take a look at my base stats. This character is a Dark Elf, and they're a top race for stamina DPS. They have bonuses to max magicka and stamina, and weapon and spell damage. If you're rolling a character from scratch, Dark Elf or Orc are best here. I have all 64 points in stamina, and that's normal for damage dealers to have all their points in one stat. And the builds I do on this channel are damage dealers for dungeon content. They're not meant for arenas or soloing difficult veteran dungeons. They're designed for 4-player groups that include a tank and a healer. I'm using lava foot soup and salt rice as my food, and I wind up with 30,000 points of stamina and 19,000 points of health. That's not a lot of health, but I can swap buff foods anytime I need to, and you'll see me do that throughout the video. More permanent solutions involve putting health cliffs on armor pieces, and that's up to you guys. Only you know how much health you're comfortable running with. My stamina recovery is at 1500, and that gets increased by potions in combat. When update 47 goes live, I'll be able to use tri-stat recovery potions, but for right now, you'll see me using potions of weapon power in a lot of the video. Weapon damage on the static character sheet is at 4500 and crit chance is at 57%, and both of those go up in combat. Penetration is at 3000, and that number goes up greatly in combat. Those are all static numbers from the character sheet. Once a fight starts, everything is in a state of flux, and if I built my character right, all the numbers go up. As always, I'm using a Thief Mundus stone for extra critical chance. Alright, that's everything I cover in this section. I don't get into crit resistance because monsters don't crit, only players can crit. And I don't talk about resistances because in 4-player content that's mostly relevant to the tank. Tanks combine armor with other forms of mitigation to reduce damage greatly. As a damage dealer, your options are going to be more limited if you don't want to reduce your damage output substantially. Slotting skills that passively reduce damage, active and passive healing, and damage shields all make more sense to me than beefing up my armor. Okay, let's move on.
Congratulations. I hate, for lack of a more scholarly term, icky creatures.
That's funny, coming from a guy that makes his home in Apocrypha. He tells me he sometimes takes a swim in these pools of black goo. Now that's icky. That was a seeker, by the way. They'll siphon your brain out of your head just for accidentally bumping into them. Good times. Well, anyway, we fought well and we looked good. Quick fit check. Shiny battle mage armor, great sword and dagger sharp, electricity at my fingertips. We got a lead on where the book is, and as soon as I check on my skills, we're going to follow up on it. The 3 skill lines I'm using are Storm Calling from the Sorcerer, Adric's Spear from Templar, and Assassination from the Nightblade. This is a 2-bar build, and it involves light attack weaving and limited bar swaps. Limited bar swaps because the build uses what's basically a static rotation, and the light attack weaving doesn't have to be perfect for the build to be effective. I'll start on my back bar, which is a great sword, and the first skill I use is a Nightblade skill, Piercing Mark. This reduces the armor of my target by almost 6,000 points and lasts for a full minute. This is a skill I'm only going to use on bosses and difficult adds, otherwise I can skip it. This slot can actually be used for other skills that might be more useful for a given situation. A great choice for difficult fights is Critical Surge. That restores my health as I do damage and is one of the best survival skills in the game. The next skill I use in my rotation is the Sorcerer skill Hurricane. Hurricane surrounds my character with winds that do damage that increase over time. My character also gets Major Resolve and Minor Expedition for the 20-second duration. Now I use the 2-handed skill Stampede. This gap closer creates a damaging AoE at the feet of my target and increases my weapon damage if I have the right trait and glyph on the sword. More on that in the gear section. I'm using the Scribe skill Shocking Banner on this build. Shocking Banner increases direct damage by 6%. I've selected the Cavalier's Charge script to give me more weapon damage based on movement speed. Since I'll have a speed boost from Hurricane all the time, this script is good for a nice chunk of weapon damage. I'm also using the Intellect and Endurance script for increased magicka and stamina recovery. I'll activate Shocking Banner before I enter combat and keep it going the whole time. My self-heal is on this bar, and it's the same skill I typically use, and that's Resolving Vigor. Resolving Vigor gives me a nice heal over 5 seconds and gives a buff to my armor as well. My ultimate is Power Overload. This skill is a toggle, and once I toggle it on, it replaces my light attacks with lightning bolts. It remains on until I toggle it off or I run out of ultimate. While Power Overload is active, every light attack does massive shock damage, and as a sorcerer I have a 5% bonus to this damage type. Alright, that's it for my back bar. Let's go to the front bar, which is Dual Wield Daggers. The first skill that I use on this bar is the Scribe skill, Sundering Knife, which does some damage by itself, but the scripts are more important. I'm using the Warrior's Opportunity script, which increases my physical damage by 8% for the next 5 seconds. I'm also using the Minor Vulnerability script to increase all damage by 5%. Now I start using my spammable attack, which is the Templar skill, Biting Jabs. This direct damage skill hits targets in the area in front of me and gives me major brutality. Just for slotting this skill, I increased my critical damage by 12% thanks to the Piercing Spear passive. And every time I use Biting Jabs, I get Minor Berserk and Minor Protection for 6 seconds. I'm going to keep using Biting Jabs until my next skill is ready. If I'm making my light attacks, each one will charge the Spectral Bow of Merciless Resolve. After 5 successful light attacks, I'll fire the Spectral Bow. Except, after update 47, it will only take 4 light attacks, and I'll be using the other morph, Relentless Focus. When update 47 goes live, I'll also get Major Savagery just for slotting this skill. Okay, so I go back and forth between Biting Jabs and Merciless Resolve. That'll work out to be about 12 combined attacks, then I'll swap back to the other bar and start over again. When my enemy is below 20% health, I'll substitute Killer's Blade for Biting Jabs. This Nightblade Execute skill does up to 400% more damage to low health enemies. I'll keep using Merciless Resolve until my enemy is in the 10 to 15% health range, then I spam Killer's Blade continuously. I've got 2 skills left on this bar. Banner Bearer you've seen already, and that has to be on both bars. The last skill is the Nightblade Ultimate, Soul Harvest. This skill does direct damage and increases my overall damage by 20% for 8 seconds. That's a big boost to damage, but most of the time I don't use this. I like this morph over the other one because every time I kill an enemy while I'm on this bar, I gain 10 ultimate. With the ultimate I gain from this, I'm going to be able to use Overload all the time. I'll be going into boss fights with a lot of ultimate and doing a ton of damage with my empowered light attacks. Well, that's it for the skills in the rotation. Let's see them in action. 90,000 points of damage per second. I had some lucky crits there, but still, the damage is up there. I don't think this setup ever did less than 85. Power Overload led the way with 25% of the damage. Biting Jabs did 20% and Merciless Resolve another 20%. That's a lot of direct damage and it's going to influence my gear choice. I only got in one shot with Killer's Blade, but the boss died faster than I thought it would. I got caught off guard there at the end. Weapon damage maxed out at 7,200 and critical damage pegged at 120%. That's close to the cap, which is at 125%. And you're going to see that again and again in these subclassing builds. It's very easy to hit that crit damage cap. That's not a problem except for when I find myself going over the cap in more organized groups, but I can detune the build a little by changing champion points, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Well, we managed to get ourselves lost, but I have a good feeling about those Daedra down there. They're definitely giving off a positive vibe. Azander says he feels it too, so we're going to go down there and talk to them. Hopefully they can give us some directions. Ominous sounding words from a dying Daedra can't shake this team's confidence, especially not now, since Azander says he realizes where we are. We're close to our destination. We're feeling good after another victory, and I know we're going to find that book, but I want to check my gear before we head out. The first set I'm wearing is the new Tideborn Wildstalker set, which is a crafted set from Solstice. This 5-piece set increases my direct damage to monsters by 12%. My main hand is Nirnhoned with a fire enchantment, and my offhand is charged with a poison enchantment. My other 5-piece set is also crafted. This is the Order's Wrath set, and it comes from the High Isle. This set is getting old, but it's still a great option. One of the things I like about this set is that it has a substantial amount of crit built into it. I have this set active on both bars because this will buff any type of damage. The Tideborn set is only active on my front bar, and on my back bar I have a Maelstrom's Perfected Greatsword. This sword comes from the arena of the same name. It applies a huge buff to direct damage skills, so try to get your hands on one. If you can't get the perfected version, get the normal version. It's worth it. The sword is in the infused trait and it has a weapon damage glyph on it. That's a key feature of 2-bar builds, and that's the main reason players run a 2-bar build. That setup works with a Stampede skill to greatly increase my weapon damage. I'm wearing a Zon Monster Helm for extra critical chance. I have a lot of Zon and Slime Crawl helmets floating around among my characters. I just happen to be wearing Zon here. Any monster helm with a crit bonus will work. The last item I'm wearing is the new mythic item, Monomyth Reforged. I can't wear the Velathiur Mage's Amulet here because it doesn't play well with Power Overload. It would reduce that damage to 0. Not Monomyth Reforged. This item gives me major force, increasing my critical damage by 20%. This can be redundant with the Warhorn skill, but in small groups, uptime on that will be low. It's got a bit of a curse because it inflicts me with minor vulnerability while on my front bar and minor timidity on my back bar, but those are pretty insignificant. I'll take my chances. Well, you guys can go through the chart and see anything else about the gear that interests you, so I'm going to leave it at that. The same chart appears again at the end of the video. Okay, let's look at champion points. The blue champion points on this one are Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, Wrathful Strikes, and Fighting Finesse. If you get in trouble with the hard cap for the crit damage modifier, get rid of Fighting Finesse. Take something like Exploiter instead. It's almost guaranteed that someone in your group is running off balance. Well, we found the book. Laramil didn't bother to mention it was one of the black ones. Fun fact, reading even a few lines in a black book will drive you crazy. I've seen Azander read page after page though. Not sure how he's doing it. Respect. The book is giving off an aura of death and regret. Azander says it won't kill me if I pick it up, but I'm going to have to think about it for a minute. I've seen black books, but not like this one. This was a big ask from Laramil. Hopefully the reward is going to be more than a few coins in a junk set item. I'm not holding my breath though. Well, that was disappointing, but we had a great adventure and the only thing we lost was some of our dignity. If you guys are still here, you must like pain, ESO, or both. But hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure and crush the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider becoming a subscriber. There's the usual stuff at the end of the video. There's fashion, a fight, and a clip of the Superstar add-on showing this build at a glance. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel.
Dares disturb my meditations. Feel the fury of my arcane power. Of chaos! Will not survive my unlearn. Arcane mastery unleashed. I'm feeling hostility of chaos. Feel the fury of my arcane power. land. Not survive my magic. Impossible.
So this particular black book was not supposed to be removed from Apocrypha. Okay, yeah, we'll just we'll put it back. Yeah, I'll just get it from Laramil and put it back as soon as we figure out where Laramil is.